Today we will be investigating passive transport.
Passive transport is a process that does not require energy, and it moves solutes along its concentration gradient. The higher side of the ramp represents a higher concentration of solute molecules, while the lower side of the ramp represents a lower concentration of solute molecules. The car represents the net movement of molecules down the concentration gradient. No energy was needed to move the molecules down the concentration gradient.
Yeah.
On the other hand, active transport does require energy. This is because it's moving the solutes against the concentration gradient from an area of lower concentration to an area of higher concentration.
As you can see, the car needs energy to move back up the concentration gradient.
Passive transport is more efficient because the cell doesn't need to expend energy in order to move the solutes.
Diffusion is the movement of molecules of any substance to be evenly distributed throughout a solvent or two sides of a membrane. This is the type of passive transport that will form an equilibrium.
In order to demonstrate diffusion, you can fill a glass of water. Now that you have obtained a glass of water, put in a food coloring or a food enhancer to watch it become evenly distributed throughout the water. As you can see, the food dye has now become distributed throughout the water evenly.
Osmosis is the diffusion of water across a selectively permeable membrane. The water will move from an area of low concentration of solutes to an area of high concentration of solutes. This process requires no energy, and it will continue until there is no net movement of water and an isotonic environment is reached.
According to this U-tube, this side of the U-tube has a higher concentration of starch molecules, whereas this side of the U-tube has a lower concentration of starch molecules. In order for the concentration of the starch molecules to be equal on both sides, water must move from this side of the U-tube to this side of the U-tube to make the water concentration equal. The water level on this side will increase, whereas the water level on this side will decrease. This will make the concentration between the water molecules equal on both sides.
This side of the U-tube has a hypotonic environment, while this side of the U-tube has a hypertonic environment. Water molecules from this side of the U-tube will diffuse into this side of the U-tube in order to reach an isotonic environment.
Smaller molecules, such as the glucose molecule, can diffuse across the membrane by simple diffusion. Larger molecules, however, such as the starch molecule, require the aid of transport proteins or ion channels to pass through. The molecules that have trouble diffusing on their own include larger molecules, ions, and polar molecules. These molecules can use the aid of gated ion channels or regular ion channels to pass through. When molecules use the aid of transport proteins, gated ion channels, and ion channels to pass across the membrane, this is known as facilitated diffusion, which is a part of passive transport. Through our demonstrations today, we hope that you leave with a better understanding of passive transport.